What if I told you the history you know is wrong? We're taught about the Greeks and the Romans, but they were terrified of one guy. He started with nothing, just a bunch of nomads on horseback, and built the biggest empire in the world. This isn't just a story about an empire. It's the insane story of how one man, Cyrus the Great, flipped the entire world upside down. In the 6th century BCE, the world was run by three megapowers. The Neo-Babylonian Empire, basically an ancient superfortress. The Kingdom of Lydia, whose king was so rich his name literally means rich. And the Median Empire, who controlled everything. These guys were the world's biggest bullies. And into this world, a boy was born who was supposed to die. He was a total nobody from a tribe that had to do whatever the Medes said. Yet in less than 30 years, this nobody would crush them all and forge the largest empire ever seen. And he did it with an idea so revolutionary, it's still talked about today. This is the story of how Cyrus, the Persian, became Cyrus the Great. How are you, dear friends? I am Czar. We uncover the truth from our history. If you are passionate about it, have a look at our series of French, Byzantine, and Persian Empire in playlist. We love your support to improve our service by subscribing, sharing, liking, and specially comments to keep us going and serve you better. A world of kings mean life of Cyrus, in the world he was living and grown up. We need to discuss it, dear fellows, that we can understand him better. To get how insane Cyrus's story is, you have to see the world he was born into. The ancient Near East was a cage locked by three massive kingdoms. First up, Babylon. Think of it as the world's most epic city, with walls so thick you could race chariots on them. Their kings were pros at crushing people's spirits, even exiling entire populations just because they could. To the west was Lydia. Their king, Croesus, was swimming in so much gold, it's unbelievable. They basically invented money, and their cavalry was the most feared fighting force on the planet. Croesus was sitting on a mountain of gold, thinking no one could ever touch him. And then you have the Medes. These guys were the top dogs, ruling a massive empire from their mountain fortress. They were the overlords of the region, and one of the many groups they ruled over were their cousins, the Persians. The Persians were just a collection of small-time tribes, seen as a minor piece in the game. In this world, you were either born a king or you were nobody. There was no in-between. Or so they thought. Dear friends, the unlikely prince, a tale of his life. Let us analyze it. Okay, this is where it gets wild. The story of Cyrus's birth is absolutely nuts. It starts with his grandpa, the Median king Astyages. He has a nightmare that his own grandson will overthrow him. So, to stop this, he marries his daughter off to some Persian guy he thinks is no threat. But then he has another dream, and now he's freaking out. The prophecy was coming true. When his daughter gives birth to a son, Cyrus, the terrified Astyages orders his most trusted guy, Harpagus, to take the newborn baby and leave him in the wilderness to die. I'm not even kidding. But Harpagus couldn't do it. So he gives the baby to a shepherd, who secretly raises Cyrus as his own son after his own baby was stillborn. So the prince who was meant to die grows up as a humble shepherd's son. But you couldn't deny his royal blood. When the village kids played games, they always picked Cyrus to be their king. In one game, he even ordered a nobleman's son to be punished. The nobleman complained to the real King Astyages, who brought the boy in. The second the king saw him, he realized the truth. He looked exactly like his family. The king was actually relieved. His priests told him that since Cyrus was already a king in a game, the prophecy was fulfilled. So he sent Cyrus to his real parents. But, to punish Harpagus for disobeying, the king did something monstrous. He secretly killed Harpagus's own son, cooked him, and served him to Harpagus for dinner. Only after he ate did the king reveal what he'd done. Harpagus played it cool, but you know he was planning the ultimate revenge. Dear fellows, the spark of rebellion, a slogan of Cyrus, was, "We're done being pushed around." Cyrus grows up in Persia, learning to be a warrior and a leader, but still technically a subject of his grandpa in Media. Meanwhile, the king is getting crazier and more paranoid, and all the nobles hate him. The guy who would light the fuse was Harpagus, who had been waiting for over a decade to get his revenge. He secretly starts a conspiracy with other angry nobles. Then he sends a secret message to Cyrus. Get the Persian tribes together. Attack. And I'll make sure the Median army switches sides. This was Cyrus's chance. In 559 BCE, he became king of Anshan and united the Persian tribes, telling them, "We're done being pushed around." The rebellion was on. When King Astyages heard about it, he made the dumbest mistake possible. He put Harpagus in charge of the army to stop his grandson. I can't make this up. When the two armies met, Harpagus and a huge part of the Median army just straight up joined Cyrus. The rebellion ended around 550 BCE. The furious king led another army himself, but his own troops, completely fed up, arrested him on the battlefield and handed him over to Cyrus. The rebellion was over. Cyrus marched into the capital, and in a crazy act of mercy, he spared his grandfather's life. He didn't destroy the Median kingdom, he absorbed it, creating a dual monarchy of Medes and Persians. In one move, he went from a nobody to the king of an empire. But the other giants were watching, and they were scared. Dear fellows, the richest man in the world was King Croesus, and Cyrus's legendary Lydian cavalry, a great maneuver by them, conquered the rich man kingdom. With his new mega-empire, Cyrus was on everyone's radar, especially King Croesus of Lydia, the richest man alive. Croesus wanted to stop Cyrus, so he asked the famous oracle of Delphi what to do. The oracle gave him a classic riddle. If you attack the Persians, you will destroy a great empire. Croesus thought, "Awesome! I'm gonna win!" He took his world-famous cavalry and attacked. The first battle was a draw, but then, with winter coming, Croesus made a massive mistake. Thinking the fighting was over for the year, he retreated to his capital, Sardis, and sent his mercenaries home. He assumed Cyrus would do the same. He had no idea who he was dealing with. Cyrus realized Croesus was totally exposed. In an act of pure genius, he ordered his army to march on Sardis in the middle of winter. Croesus was completely surprised and had to scramble what was left of his army, his legendary Lydian cavalry. They met on the plain of Thymbra in 547 BCE. Cyrus was outnumbered, but he pulled off the craziest trick ever. On the advice of his general Harpagus, he put all his smelly baggage camels at the front of his army. As the Lydian cavalry charged, their horses got a whiff of the camels. Horses hate the smell of camels, and they completely freaked out, throwing their riders and shattering the charge. It was absolute chaos. Cyrus's army just rolled in and crushed them. It was a total victory. Sardis, the impenetrable city, fell in just 2 weeks. The great empire the oracle said would be destroyed was Croesus's own. And again, Cyrus spared his enemy's life and even made him an advisor. He just defeated the richest man in the world. Next up, the greatest city in the world, Babylon. Dear fellows, the unbreachable city. Babylon, with Lydia conquered, only one rival was left. Babylon. This place wasn't just a city, it was the ultimate fortress, a symbol of unbeatable power. But its ruler, Nabonidus, was unpopular, creating a weakness Cyrus planned to exploit. The physical challenge was insane. Babylon had massive double walls, deep moats, and the giant Euphrates River flowed right through it, giving them unlimited water. A normal siege was impossible. So, how could anyone get in? Cyrus showed up in 539 BCE. He knew a direct fight was suicide. He needed a 200 IQ play. His plan was breathtaking. Upstream from the city, he had his entire army dig a massive basin to literally divert the entire Euphrates River. Inside Babylon, the people were having a huge party. They felt completely safe behind their walls and had no idea what was happening. Then, under the cover of darkness, Cyrus gave the order. The river water level dropped until it was only knee-deep. His soldiers just walked right into the city along the riverbed, under the massive walls. The city's guards had gotten lazy and hadn't even secured the water gates. The Persians emerged inside the celebrating city and took it completely by surprise. The fall of Babylon was incredibly fast and almost entirely peaceful. Cyrus had ordered his men not to loot or kill. 17 days later, Cyrus himself walked into Babylon, not as a destroyer, but as a liberator. He had just captured the unbreachable city. But what he did next is what makes him truly great. Cyrus proved that being smart is way more powerful than just being strong. He wasn't just taking over, he was building a whole new world. If you think this is as insane as we do, smash that subscribe button and ring the bell. Next, we're exploring how Cyrus's ideas on how to run an empire became his biggest win ever. And trust me, you do not want to miss it. The King of the Four Corners, a new name emerged from Cyrus in the world, dear fellows. Winning a war is one thing, but ruling an empire is a whole other challenge. The kings before him ruled by being terrifying. Cyrus did the exact opposite. He chose tolerance and pure genius. He knew you couldn't hold an empire this huge together with fear. After taking Babylon, he issued a proclamation on what we now call the Cyrus Cylinder. This little piece of clay changed everything. Inscribed in cuneiform, it lays out his revolutionary plan. It says he'll restore temples and, most importantly, allow people who had been deported to go back to their homes. This was unheard of. Because of this policy, he ended the Babylonian captivity, letting the Jewish people return to Jerusalem and even giving them money to rebuild their temple. For this, the Bible calls him a shepherd and a liberator. By letting people keep their own gods and cultures, he won their loyalty. To run this massive state, he perfected a system of provinces called satrapies, each with a governor. He also built royal roads and a postal service, the nervous system of the empire. He wasn't a Persian supremacist. He used talented people from every culture he conquered. This model was so effective, it was studied for centuries, from Alexander the Great to even the founding fathers of the United States. The final massage tea was his last campaign, dear fellows. After conquering the known world, Cyrus had one last mission, securing his northeastern border from fierce nomadic tribes called the Massage. They were led by a warrior queen named Tomyris. The most famous story of what happened next is wild. In 530 BCE, Cyrus marched east. He tried to marry Tomyris to absorb her kingdom, but she saw right through it and said no. So he resorted to a trap. He left a camp filled with tons of strong wine. A force led by Tomyris's son attacked the camp, got completely drunk, and Cyrus's army returned and captured them all. When Queen Tomyris found out, she was furious and swore she would give Cyrus his fill of blood. Her son, ashamed of being captured, killed himself. Now it was personal. The grieving queen gathered all her forces for a final, epic battle. Herodotus says it was one of the fiercest battles ever. The Massagetae finally overwhelmed the Persians, and Cyrus the Great was killed. In her rage, Tomyris found his body, cut off his head, and shoved it into a bag full of human blood, telling him to drink his fill. But that's just one version of the story. Other historians say he was mortally wounded, but his body was recovered and returned to Persia for burial. This version makes way more sense because his magnificent tomb still stands today in his capital of Pasargadae. Dear fellows, we shall also talk about the legacy of the great Cyrus. The death of Cyrus didn't end his empire. He had built it to last. His son inherited a stable superpower. But the true legacy of Cyrus isn't the land he conquered. In an age of pure brutality, he created a new way to rule, one based on wisdom, mercy, and respect. The Greeks, who were his enemies, called him a great lawgiver. The Babylonians thought he was chosen by their god. The Jews revered him as their savior. For his own people, the Persians, he was simply Father. He took a collection of tribes and, in his lifetime, forged a global superpower. The Cyrus Cylinder is seen today as the world's first charter of human rights. It's a declaration that all people have a right to their own culture and faith. This idea, born over 2,500 years ago, has never been more important. Cyrus was a warrior who proved that true greatness isn't about how many people you can crush, but how many you can lift up. The empire he built would shape history for 200 years, but the ideals he created have shaped it forever. I am Czar. We uncover the truth from our history. If you are passionate about it, have a look at our series of French, Byzantine, and Persian Empire in playlist. We love your support to improve our service by subscribing, sharing, liking, and especially comments to keep us going and serve you better.